Crash. The sky over the northern ridge split with a deafening roar. A streak of silver fire tore through the dusky heavens, spiraling violently before disappearing into the dense Thalaran forest. The trees trembled in protest, and the ground echoed with a thunderous crash as the alien vessel made its final descent. Daniel Kessler was already halfway up the ridge when the sky split open. He was a salvager, not a hero. His life was combing through dead tech, discarded drones, and the wreckage of war that littered the outer territories. But a fresh crash. That was a rare bounty. New parts, unscorched circuits, maybe even something valuable enough to sell off-world. By the time he reached the edge of the wreckage, the fire had dulled, but the smell of ozone and scorched metal clung to the air. The craft was like nothing he'd seen before. Smooth, organic curves wrapped in a liquid metal finish that shimmered like quicksilver. It hissed and steamed, its hull pulsing softly with a dying light. As he crept closer, Daniel heard a sound, more a feeling than a noise, a low-frequency hum that vibrated in his chest. Then, from the shattered side of the craft, something moved. She emerged like a wounded predator. Her skin was a strange, opalescent hue, blue and violet at once, iridescent under the failing light. Her eyes were sharp, cat-like, her expression pure disdain. "Back away, primitive," she hissed, voice accented, clipped and heavily accented. She clutched her side with one hand, where dark blood seeped between her fingers. Daniel froze. "You're hurt." "I will heal," she snapped. "Leave. I do not need your help." He raised his hands in mock surrender. "Fine. But this is a wild zone. You're a sitting target out here. If you're not dead by morning, something's gonna make sure you are." She glared at him but said nothing. "Suit yourself," Daniel said, turning away. But he didn't leave. Instead, he climbed a nearby outcrop, close enough to keep her in sight, far enough not to push her further. He built a small fire, set out a ration pack, and waited. He wasn't sure why. Maybe because she looked too human, or maybe because, for all her fire and fury, she was clearly dying. By the time the sun dipped beneath the horizon, her breathing had turned ragged. He heard her fall before he saw it. Just a soft thud against the forest floor. Part 2, Pride and Pain. She woke in a haze of pain, surrounded by unfamiliar warmth. Her first instinct was to attack, but her body rebelled. Muscles spasmed. Her vision blurred. "You passed out. I dragged you here." "Don't thank me," Daniel muttered, squatting near the fire as he stirred a crude stew. "I did not ask for help." "Yeah, I got that the first time. You were bleeding out. Would have been dead by now." She tried to sit up and winced. Her entire torso felt like it was on fire. "I cleaned the wound," he said, nodding toward her side. "No idea what species you are, but blood's blood. Had to guess. You've got internal bleeding. Pretty bad." She looked away, face tight with pain. "You got a name?" he asked. She hesitated. "Sorry. I'm Daniel." They sat in silence for a long moment, broken only by the crackle of fire. "You are not military," she said eventually. "Nope." "Then why help me?" Daniel shrugged. "Honestly, I don't know. Maybe because I was raised better than to leave someone to die. Even a prideful, mouthy alien woman who clearly doesn't want my help." Sorry narrowed her eyes. "I am not mouthy." Daniel chuckled. "Sure." Part 3. Secrets in the Forest. Over the next few days, Tsari's pride eroded beneath the weight of necessity. She could not move far without pain, could not hunt, and could barely drink without help. She hated it. Hated the dependence, the helplessness. But Daniel wasn't cruel. He didn't mock or belittle. He cooked. He cleaned her wound. He talked, sometimes telling stories of his life, of the orbital wars, of how Earth fractured and fractured again until salvage crews like his were all that remained. She listened more than she spoke. Eventually, when the fever passed, and her strength returned in small fragments, she spoke of her mission. I am a sentinel of the Valari Ascendancy. My ship was a recon vessel. We were monitoring a breach in subspace, a tear in the veil. Daniel frowned. You mean the rift over the Red Crescent sector? Yes, she said, surprised. That is what your people call it. I've seen it. On scanners. Like a black scar across space. It is more than a scar. Something is leaking through. Ancient things. The veil was never meant to be opened. Daniel felt a chill. And your ship? We were attacked. Something came through the breach. It was wrong. Not alive. Not dead. A hunger wrapped in shadow. Sounds lovely. We fled. My ship was damaged, the crew killed. I barely made it out. He didn't press her further. But he saw it. Beneath her calm, beneath her pride, there was fear. Real bone-deep fear. Part 4. The hunger. They stayed hidden in the forest for days, scavenging, healing, waiting. But the silence didn't last. The first sign was the sky. The stars blinked unnaturally, flickering in and out. Then came the animals, fleeing the deeper woods in frantic herds. Even the air grew colder, thinner. Tsari knew what it meant. It followed me, she whispered, eyes wide with horror. I led it here. What is it? A shadow parasite. It infects thought. A virus of the mind. Feeds on fear and guilt. It will find us. Daniel checked his gear. Only a pulse rifle, low charge. Not enough to face a cosmic nightmare. But Tsari had something else. A shard of her ship's core, containing compressed quantum plasma. A makeshift bomb if used right. It's unstable, she warned. It could destroy everything within a mile. But it is all we have. That night the shadow came. Didn't walk. It bled from the trees, long spidery limbs of smoke and tendrils of whispering voices. It hissed promises in 1,000 tongues, clawing at their minds. Daniel gritted his teeth. I've fought monsters before. Not like this, but I've stared down war machines. This thing. It is not flesh, Tsari said. You do not kill it. You deny it. You reject its voice. But Daniel had an idea. They ran, leading it toward the canyon nearby. The edge of the Thalaran cliffs. As the shadow surged behind them, Tsari triggered the core's overload. But the timer was short. Too short. You have to go, Daniel shouted. I'll buy time. No, she said, voice firm. I have run enough. They stood together, back to back, as the thing approached. It shrieked, reaching for them, a storm of memory and nightmare. Tsari turned, her voice rising in a strange melodic chant, the words of her people, a psychic ward. Daniel fired into the shadow, futile but defiant. And then light. The core detonated. Part 5. Aftermath. He woke up 3 days later, buried under rubble and ash. The forest was scorched. The canyon edge had collapsed. But the shadow was gone. Tsari lay nearby, unconscious but breathing. Her skin was scorched, one arm twisted unnaturally. But she lived. Daniel carried her back to the wreckage of her ship. Enough pieces remained for a distress signal. He stayed with her until the retrieval beacon was answered, until a Valari rescue team came in a sleek, humming craft of pure silver. Tsari, now recovered, stood before him at the edge of the forest. You could have left me, she said quietly. Yeah. But I didn't. She offered something, a small orb. A beacon of sorts.